Hello guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Thank you for tuning into the channel. On today's episode, I'm going to show you how I take some toys from Dollar Tree and turn them into scatter terrain for Gaslands. These are 1/64th scale, so they're a little small for games like D&D, Pathfinder, Warhammer. The Dollar Tree is a treasure trove of good deals for Gaslands. These toys that I find are really easy to break apart and modify. Taking the dollar store die-cast cars apart did not require any sort of power tools. They just have a little clip, then you can pop out the bottom compartment. The plastic windshields and side windows, it's all one panel, and those pop out really easily on these cars that are $3 for $1. The metal's really soft and malleable and easy to bend, so I think these are great for making gates or terrain for Gaslands. And I'm going to go through in this video and show you how I took the back of the dump truck and turned it into a piece of terrain for Gaslands. This back bed of the dump truck did not technically come from the dollar store. It came from the Dollar General. This is the same set that I got 5 pieces for $5 at the Dollar General. I've scavenged tires from it. I've used the crane bit from it. I've used bits, all sorts of these bits for Gaslands. So it's a nice little piece to have for a $5. So since I used, I guess, half of the piece, this would be, I guess, a 50-cent piece worth of plastic toy. You can use anything you want with this technique. So the purpose is to show how to make these bits of scatter terrain for a super low price in the budget. So to start off with, I took a bit of cereal box and scraps of XPS foam that I had lying around. I'm going to use the XPS foam to build up the terrain piece and to angle the back end of this toy that I got. Get these that I finished over here to get kind of an idea of what's going on. So this is just the cereal box, and cut whatever size and shape you'd like your terrain piece to be. My concept was to make the gates for Death Race, and to make a couple of these have the potential to explode if you ran into them. On this one, I wanted the dump truck piece to look like it had emptied out the terrain that was surrounding it, all the dirt and muck. So I'm going to show a couple glue tricks I used to attach the different things, because I couldn't really use the same glue for the entire project. So it's kind of like a little bit of a glue this to that episode. After heating up my hot glue gun, I tossed it onto my cereal box and let that cool down for like a little bit of a nanosecond or two, and then plopped the XPS foam on top like that, and decided where I was going to angle everything to get the effect I wanted of the dump truck. Here are actually my Gasland cars. If you want to take a look, this is my scratch. I made a bus. It's pretty cool. It didn't do so well, but I figured out how to make a better bus. Here's how I ended up gluing the plastic to the XPS foam and the cereal box. Here's what everything looked like once the hot glue dried. On the bottom, I did have to extend my cereal box a little bit, so I wanted to show that to you because I just didn't make a big enough piece to cut with for the shape that I wanted, because I want the dirt to come rolling down like that. On this piece, I built up the hot glue a little bit closer towards the top dumping part of the dump truck to give more of a three-dimensional effect and to add to the illusion of the dirt rumbling out. It's time for some good old Miss Arlene's, America's favorite craft glue. So what I do now, once that the hot glue has dried, is I slather on the Arlene's tacky glue. This is a basic PVA. Well, it's actually a deluxe PVA. I shouldn't call it basic. But if you have a different PVA you want to use, say from an Elmer's or a dollar store brand, those work equally as well. I just like the Arlene's because it's super thick. Then I take my paintbrush and spread it all around the base of the terrain piece, including on top of the hot glue and the XPS foam. Now, I'm not going to use the Arlene's on the plastic toy bed of the dumpster truck. I'm going to use a different glue for that because I just really wasn't sure if the Arlene's would stick to the plastic. The plastic isn't porous. So use the Arlene's just on the base and dab it all over with the paintbrush, and then let's go on to the next step. Here's what everything looks like once it's been covered with the Arlene's tacky glue. And the next thing to do is I take a repurposed container, my sour cream container, put the toy inside the container, and then just toss in my all-time favorite patio paver. I love using this as a craft. This is available at your hardware stores. Some hobby enthusiasts don't paint the patio paver, and if you don't want to, you don't feel like you have to. I like the effect of painted wargame terrain. That's just my aesthetic that I like. So I'm not trying to do a floral arrangement or anything where I'm trying to look just like nature. I'm trying to look like wargame terrain. But there you go. And let that dry. The next thing I need to do once I let this dry is to create the effect of the dirt coming out like this. Here's a little sample. I have not glued this in. This is just me showing what my game plan is. I want to have the dirt look like it had maybe been carried over in this container and then dumped out and trashed or whatever because it's Gaslands, and that's what happens. And to do this, I'm going to use this very nice, I believe it's an epoxy, and this is also made by the same company that does Arlene's, which I never knew. This is something I grew up with. My mom had this in the house. So as an adult, I'm going to use this on my toys because I grew up using this glue. And it does have a strong aroma, so you may want to use this outside if you're sensitive to such things. Good old Miss Arlene. The next step is to take this multi-purpose adhesive from Miss Arlene's line and go ahead and put it on the bed of the dump truck, and then throw your patio paver on top just like we did the base. Now this took a couple of applications. The first time I put the epoxy on, it didn't really grab a lot of the rock. So I had to do this and build this texture up. And here's the final result. You can see I've got it angled, so it looks like it's still pouring out. The terrain piece is angled. It's the ultimate multi-surface adhesive, and it is unbelievably strong. I highly recommend adding this product to your toolkit. There's all the pieces. I think everything merges nicely. You really can't tell that I built anything up with hot glue, which is another little crafter's trick to build texture up and three-dimensionality. It dried really hard, super strong, super tough. The piece is ready to be primed and painted. The next step is to go ahead and prime the piece of terrain, and for this I used the Rust-Oleum primer from the store, and unfortunately I did not videotape me painting this piece. My friend James and I went to our local makerspace to work on some Gaslands cars, and I forgot to videotape anything because I get excited when I go to makerspace. So maybe next time I'll make a video just about our local makerspace. That's it for the video. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed everything and learned a little thing or two about making some affordable terrain for Gaslands out of scraps. And please hit the like and subscribe, and I'll see you all later.